or that surprise can come in a simile, and her stories are rich in similes. In A Manual for Cleaning Women, she writes, "Once he told me he loved me because I was like San Pablo Avenue." She goes right on to another, even more surprising comparison. He was like the Berkeley dump. And she is just as lyrical describing a dump, whether in Berkeley or in Chile, as she is in describing a field of wildflowers. I wish there was a bus to the dump. We went there when we got homesick for New Mexico. It was stark and windy, and gulls soared like nighthawks in the desert. You can see the sky all around you and above you. Garbage trucks thunder through dust-billowing roads, gray dinosaurs. Always embedding the stories in a real physical world is just this kind of concrete physical imagery. The trucks thunder, the dust billows. Sometimes the imagery is beautiful. At other times it is not beautiful, but intensely palpable. We experience each story not only with our intellects and our hearts, but also through our senses. The smell of the history teacher, her sweat and mildewed clothing in good or bad. Or in another story, the sinking soft tarmac, the dust and sage. The cranes flying up with the sound of shuffling cards. The caliche dust and oleander. The wild sunflowers and purple weed in yet another story, and crowds of poplars planted years before in better times, thriving in a slum. She was always watching, even if only out the window, when it became hard for her to move. In that same letter of 2000 to me, magpies dive bomb for the apple pulp, quick flashes of aqua and black against the snow. A description can start out romantic. The parroquia in Veracruz, palm trees, lanterns, and the moonlight. But the romanticism is cut, as in real life, by the realistic Flaubertian detail, so sharply observed by her. Dogs and cats among the dancers' polished shoes. A writer's embrace of the world is all the more evident when she sees the ordinary along with the extraordinary, the commonplace or the ugly, along with the beautiful. She credits her mother, or one of her narrators does, with teaching her that observant eye. "We have remembered your way of looking, never missing a thing. You gave us that. Looking. Not listening, though. You'd give us maybe 5 minutes to tell you about something, and then you'd say, 'Enough.' The mother stayed in her bedroom drinking. The grandfather stayed in his bedroom drinking. The girl heard the separate gurgling of their bottles from the porch where she slept. In a story, but maybe also in reality. Or the story is an exaggeration of the reality, so acutely witnessed, so funny, that even as we feel the pain of it, we have that paradoxical pleasure in the way it is told, and the pleasure is greater than the pain." Lucia Berlin based many of her stories on events in her own life. One of her sons said after her death, "Ma wrote true stories, not necessarily autobiographical, but close enough for horseshoes." Although people talk as though it were a new thing, about the form of fiction known in France as autofiction, self-fiction, the narration of one's own life, lifted almost unchanged from the reality, selected and judicially, artfully told. Lucia Berlin has been doing this, or a version of this, as far as I can see, from the beginning, back in the 1960s. Her son went on to say, "Our family stories and memories have been slowly reshaped, embellished and edited to the extent that I'm not sure what really happened all the time." Lucia said this didn't matter. The story is the thing. Of course, for the sake of balance or color, she changed whatever she had to in shaping her stories. Details of events and descriptions, chronology. She admitted to exaggerating. One of her narrators says, I exaggerate a lot.
To keep listening to this audiobook, I've left you a link in the description so you can do it, at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.